minutes, regardless of kind of how many people we have on the call. We'll just get going. So
you guys record these and then put them on your website?
Yeah, so I do a lot of video editing on the back end. So there is a page with Reinventing Rural, and I'll send you a link to that. I'll send you the Zoom meeting recording after this, and that's just going to be the unedited. And you'll get it. And I do minor editing. I really just add a cover and end to it, and then that gets posted as part of our the rural women entrepreneurs conversations, so they can be more accessible to others. Okay, and we are streaming live now. We'll get going in just 1 second.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Have chocolate cakes in the oven.
Oh, I was wondering what's cooking.
Yeah, lots of cakes today.
So how many cakes can you get in that oven or in your ovens?
Quite a bit.
I have no concept.
It depends I baked 7 cakes at once this morning, and I'm just doing, I can fit a lot. It just depends on the size.
When did you start baking this morning?
It wasn't super early, like 7:30.
Okay. Already got 7 in.
Yeah. Oh, I'm back.
All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and get us started. So, welcome to WeChat. My name is Laura Young, and I am sitting in as guest host for Ann Winnington. And for our conversation today with a rural women entrepreneur, we are so lucky to have Jessica Wright with us from Columbia Gorge Confections. Originally from Coos Bay, Oregon, Jessica started working in restaurants at the age of 15. Her love of cooking and baking only grew as she gained experience through school and jobs. And we've asked Jessica here today to share a few obstacles to running a business in a rural area and how she's overcome these challenges. So Jessica, thank you. Please share with us, and then we'll have time at the end for questions and maybe even get a tour of her bakery.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I started my business 3 years ago, almost to the date today. I think tomorrow is actually my 3-year anniversary. I started my business because I am a mom of 2. And as we all know, being a mom and juggling 9 to 5, it doesn't always work, especially summertime. There's a lot of challenges here in the Gorge, one of them being childcare. So I really had to pivot on my normal work I would do in a restaurant, like baking, pastry chef, line cooking. I'm kind of a jack of all trades. I've done a little bit of everything in the restaurant industry, waiting tables and working when I can in between being a mom. And I took a look around here and noticed that there were some things missing in the culinary world, and we have a plethora of beautiful wineries and winemakers, and I love wine, and a lot of these wineries don't have food. And what goes better with wine than chocolate? And I thought, no one does chocolate here. I don't know how to do chocolate. I come from a savory world. I've done baking and I've been a pastry chef, but most of my culinary years, 25 years, I think now, have been in savory cooking. So I taught myself how to make chocolate. And it was a big challenge, and I just dove in. I was really fortunate to find a commercial kitchen space of this wine bar here that doesn't open until the afternoons, and they're only open 4 days a week. And so I said, hey, I really need a kitchen space. Would you be interested in renting me the space? And the most wonderful women own it. It's a mother-daughter team. It's called the White Buffalo Wine Bar and Bistro. And they rented me the space. And I started my business out of there until this past January when I leased my own space because I outgrew the space. 2020 was huge for me. My business grew beyond my wildest imagination. People really started ordering online. People started picking up wine at the wineries where my chocolates are, and so they would find me online. And yeah, it grew fast. I think it's pretty incredible. Every morning I wake up, I'm like, I'm going to my own space, to my own business. It's surreal every day, which is really cool. I always wanted my own space. I just didn't know what that was gonna look like. And I definitely never imagined that it would be chocolate and candies and cakes. But I absolutely love what I do. And I love being creative, and sometimes it's really hard to hone in all my creative ideas because now I've gotten so large, I have to have SKUs on my packaging, and you have to purchase those. They're actually very, very expensive. So I have to hone in my creativity just a little bit because I'm like, I'm gonna have to buy another 100 SKUs. It's another $1,000. So that's a little bit, that's kind of my start. The challenges here in the Gorge, not just for me, but for other business owners, is labor. Labor is a huge challenge here because the cost of living in Hood River, unlike a lot of other rural areas, it is extremely expensive. You can rarely find a house under $500,000. Which is great because I have a high-end product. There's a lot of wealthy people here. But that pushes out a lot of our restaurant workers that make minimum wage. We can't find people here to make minimum wage, or even just a bump up from minimum wage, because there's no affordable housing. And I know that's a big topic around the country is affordable housing, but I mean, here it's not only affordable, but even if you can't afford it, you can't find it. We're kind of maxed out where we are. They're building as fast as they can, but they're building more $1 million homes. So labor here is one of the biggest challenges. Every one of my clients that I have is looking for labor. I mean, every day I scroll through all my local businesses that I follow on social media, and it's like, we're hiring, spread the word, we need help. So we have to figure that out because we're very tourist driven. We're about 8,500 people during regular times in city, and then that pushes to about 20,000 during the summer. So we more than double the population during the summer because we're a huge destination for kiteboarders, windsurfers, and vacationers. So having the service industry people during busy season is really tough here. One of my biggest challenges for my business is procurement of raw goods. I'm an hour away from Portland. I'm 30 minutes away from the Dalles, which there's a cash and carry there. We all probably know what cash and carry is. It's, you can buy in bulk. It's like the Costco for people that own restaurants. It's an hour round trip. It's 30 minutes each way. So when I am running low, I have to have that time to be able to go get things. I have to Amazon things two-day Amazon ship a ton of stuff. I'm out here. I mean, I need to buy not a 5-pound bag of flour from Safeway. I need a 50-pound bag. And if I'm desperate, then I do have to go to Safeway and have to buy these raw goods, but they're at a premium cost. I'm not buying it wholesale like I would from cash and carry, or, you know, a little bit more expensive would be like from Costco. And I'm not quite big enough to start having deliveries from major food companies either, nor do I have the storage, or maybe even sometimes it's the capital too, to be able to buy in large amounts and get it delivered, because they have pretty large minimums and you have to be able to store it. So I would say the procurement of raw goods is my biggest challenge. Finding what I need, such as packaging. I've never had to do packaging before because restaurants don't package anything. And so I've had to teach myself how to properly package and label things, and finding packaging. I'm just looking on the internet at these different websites, and packaging is really expensive. Again, I have to buy in bulk, but I don't get to touch it first. I don't get to feel the quality, and having a high-end product, I need the packaging to also be higher end. And so I order blind, and I hope that when it shows up, that that everything fits, that it's good quality, and that I didn't just waste $200 on packaging I might not be able to use, which has happened quite a bit. Luckily, I have switched my packaging from using places like Amazon to made in the USA. I try and do everything made in the USA and local as possible. So I was able to find a packaging company that's out of Cleveland, which is incredible. So supporting, you know, US jobs instead of ordering stuff on Amazon that comes from China. Spending my money locally, not just in the US, but here in Hood River, is a big part of my mission. The jams that I use inside my truffles, those are all made from local fruit. It's made from Oregon growers' jams. All the fruit is either from here or from the Willamette Valley. That's really important to me. All my packaging is printed here locally from this tiny mom and pop printing shop that's been open for 60 years. They're tiny, they're old school, but they're incredible to work with. So anytime I can do local, that's what I do. Local, supporting other local businesses is such a huge priority, and doing it in a sustainable, earth-friendly way as well. Minimizing single-use plastics is also really big. In lies a challenge as well, because plastic's cheap. I can package everything in plastic for 20 cents, but I don't. I package it in paper, made in the USA, cost me like $1.20 instead. But it doesn't matter. It's important to me, and I think that's becoming more important to consumers as well. So I hope they appreciate it. In creating my business, it has given me opportunities to give back. I've created 3 different chocolate bars that give back to causes, actually 4. Moving on, almost five chocolate bars. Either the full amount of the proceeds go to a cause, or a portion of that, which is really important to me. I have a Black Lives Matter bar as well as a Gorge Pride bar. The 100% of the proceeds of those bars go here locally to a nonprofit called The Next Door, and they help with inclusion training for business owners and Indigenous education. And in the Gorge, we have a huge First Nation population, and so it was really important for me to give back to them. So I just recently created a new bar called the Win Prize Mary, and that money goes to a scholarship at my high school. So, yeah, giving back is huge for me. It's not really a struggle for me. I'm like, I'm really not in a place. I'm not rich. I don't make a ton of money. I actually haven't even paid myself this year yet. I'm putting it all back into my new business, into my new space. So I'm fine with it. But there's something about giving back, especially into my direct community or the community where I came from, is so important to me. So that's really great. But back to, I know I'm supposed to be focusing on struggles. Finding a real estate spot here in Hood River was so hard and so expensive. I was lucky to have my brother who actually negotiates real estate leases in commercial properties for a living. So he was actually able to help me negotiate my lease because there was no way I could have afforded the asking price. And so I'm really fortunate to have found my space and that I didn't have to do a big kitchen build out. It was kind of plug and play. So I could just bring in tables, I could bring in my equipment and set it up. So it made it affordable. Because a full kitchen build out, commercial kitchen build out, if I wanted the full stove, you'll see it in a minute. I'll walk you guys around. It's $60,000. If you can find a property that will lease you a spot and allow you to build it out, or something that's the buildings here around $1 million. Again, not affordable. So I'm really fortunate. I do struggle with photo taking of my products, and I really struggle with doing things on the computer. I'm not super computer literate. So I reached out into my community. I reached out to people I know. I actually had a food photographer reach out to me. She said, hey, I used to do action sports photos. I want to get into food photography. Can I photograph everything for your website? And the payment would be chocolate. And you would basically be my first portfolio. I'm so lucky. And then I have another woman, our kids have gone to school together for 3 years, and she is a graphic designer. She also does websites. She happened to redesign all my packaging over the last 2 months, and then help me with my website because I really struggle. It's hard. My husband even had to type up the instructions on how to get my photos from my phone onto my website, and I have to reference it every single time. I'm just not computer savvy because I was a chef. I'm used to working in the kitchen. Give me a recipe. Give me a black box of food and ask me to make dinner, or make something incredible. I can do that. But you ask me to do a spreadsheet? Absolutely not. I have no idea how. My husband makes all my spreadsheets. But I think it's key to use your resources. Reach out to people. The woman that ended up helping me with my packaging, I originally just asked her to help me with my website, and I happened to mention, I'm really struggling with my packaging. She goes, I used to design packaging when I was in LA in my mid-20s, and I'm like, of course I didn't know that. I had no idea. Otherwise, I would have reached out to her years ago when I was first starting my packaging. So reaching out into my immediate community and just being like, I need help. I'm not one to ask for help, but this year, that's my goal. I'm asking for help to everyone I know and to my immediate community and just being like, I need help. So that's good. People are willing to help. You just have to ask. But I'm really lucky to have a tight-knit community of people that are willing to help and really show up for me. So, yeah.
Wow, Jessica, it's amazing everything that you've been able to do and how much you've been able to work with community. That really stood out to me, what you shared. And I love how that mother and daughter team with White Buffalo Bistro gave you a chance to rent some space, and they must be so proud with what you've done.
They became family. It was so wonderful. They took me in. I felt like I felt like their new like stepdaughter.
Could you take a moment to share a little bit about the Gorge Women in Business that you had mentioned prior to the start of this call?
Yeah, there's a group, there's a woman named Tracy Beck, and she's become a little famous. She invented some kind of Spanx thing, and she does business consulting. Anyway, she started Gorge Women in Business, and it's mostly ran on social media right now. But in the past, there would be once a month meeting and little luncheon, catered luncheon. You'd pay maybe $30, $35, and there'd be a keynote speaker, and you get to eat lunch and learn about whoever they brought in. I was able to go to a couple when they brought in the business loan bank manager from the local community credit union to say, hey, these things are out here. These fundings are out here. There's this money, there's these grants, there's, and we offer these loans. This is who you talk to. This is what you need to get started. The Gorge Women in Business, they promote each other. They do a lot of self-promotion. They do actually on Fridays. It's called like Self-Promote Fridays. And it's just like this running feed of all these women in business and what they do and the links to what they do. And but it's also a platform for people to post their struggles. Like, hey, what do you think about this? Or I have, I'm looking for an accountant, or I'm struggling with whatever. So it's a really nice place to be able to not only self-promote, but to be able to ask questions. There's a ton of women business owners here in the Gorge. I don't actually know very many men business owners in the Gorge. There's a ton of women, and they're all about supporting each other, which is so amazing.
Thank you for sharing more about that. I was thinking about the challenge. One of the biggest challenges you brought up was the procurement of raw goods. Mm-hmm. And thinking about how that is so hard for so many different rural businesses and creative ways people have come up with trying to get their products. And it made me think if you team up with other businesses in your area to try to get the materials you need to make your delicious goods.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. My stuff is pretty specialized, which makes it a little more challenging, but some kind of commissary would be really nice. That would be a good thing to have. I'm just not, I'm not sure how it would work, because I think storage, because real estate is such a huge issue, and it seems like everyone's tapped out for space. They're squeezing into spots because it's the only spot, and so having any kind of storage to be able to like hold something like that. But yeah, definitely. I do have friends, they're like, hey, going to Costco, you need anything? I'm like, yes, careful what you wish for. But it was nice when I was at the White Buffalo, I was able to, because they had larger orders with places like Cisco. And so I could just write on the board, like, hey, tack this on for me, which was really nice. And I'm sure I could do that again. It just, I'm really trying to hone in my accounting, keeping track of everything. And so it can muddy the waters on that side of things too, when there's no major paper trail and personalized invoices and stuff like that to be able to track. Because I have an accountant now. She's on me to keep track of things properly. Because I used to, I don't use computers, so I used to just handwrite things down on the spreadsheets that my husband would create for me, and then I would just add them up every month with my calculator.
Well, it sounds like you've come up with systems leaning into your strengths and giving opportunities for others to offer help. I wanted to take just a minute because we have just a few minutes left and see if anybody has a question for Jessica. And then after that, I think we're going to be lucky enough to get a little mini tour of her operations. And she has 7 cakes in the oven right now. I wish we could be there to snap. Oh, good. I think we have somebody with a question here. Brad, would you like to ask yours?
Jessica, one, I just wanted to compliment you on, overcoming so many different adversities. Finding ways to get the raw materials, finding ways to manage your business, understanding it, packaging, and it just, it encourages me to say, how do we get a group of people like you together once a month or something to talk through these solutions and maybe even makes things easier for the next group. You have, not only are you running a business, you have incredible knowledge to be able to share out there for someone who's contemplating doing this in some other rural community. And secondly, I think you did hit on something. Labor is hard, but raw materials, I don't think is something most people think about when they're starting a business. It's like, how am I going to get the ingredients, particularly in a value-added food business or beverage business? How am I going to get the ingredients? Where am I going to store it? And I just love the fact that you brought that to the surface, and hopefully we'll get some smarter people than, thinking about what that looks like. I do know, and just as a suggestion, here in Corvallis at one point, when there was a shared commercial kitchen, Pitchfork Kitchen, there was some work with the local cooperative to possibly work with them on some being able to order and store. So I don't know if you have a cooperative there, but the cooperative in this community was very interested in helping support early stage food businesses for a lot of different reasons.
We actually don't have a food co-op, which is kind of wild. But what we do have is Azure Standard. I'm not sure if you're familiar, but one of their major headquarters is in the valley here in the gorge. And I am able to order from Azure, and it's delivered to one of the small health food stores here. And so I can get orders twice a week.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
But which is great, but there's big challenges there too, because there's always outages.
Right.
It's like me even going to cash and carry here in the gorge, it's small. And a lot of times, like, the shelves are empty. There's no gloves. There's no, sometimes there's no flour. There was no powdered sugar when I went last week. I'm like, how are you out of powdered sugar? They just, it's tough. I have to just grow bigger.
Well,
so I can get the Cisco truck to come down my road.
Well, we had Mary from Band and Rain, and the trucks can't even go down their lane. They have to bring everything down their gravel lane so they can pick it up at the hardware store. So you at least have a road, okay?
I love Band and Rain cider.
Okay.
The cider company.
Yeah.
There's a cidery here. They have 25 tap ciders, and she always keeps one Band and Rain on there.
There you go.
She knows that I love it. And I'm like, thanks for supporting my homestead.
Well, thank you so much. Looks like you have another question coming up.
We do, Jessica. We have a question from 13-year-old Karis, who likes to bake with her grandmother and watch baking shows. If you were on Sugar Rush, what complexion would you make?
I knew this question was coming, and I had to think about it. And I've been thinking about it the last couple of days, actually, because somebody told me and asked me that. The thing, I watch Sugar Rush. I love Sugar Rush. I love Nailed It. I love the British Baking Show. I think going on a baking challenge show would be so hard for me. I'm not sure I would actually sign up, for the mere fact that you have to have all those recipes memorized. And baking is a precise science. As you know, everything has to be measured. And if you miss an ingredient, or you put too much baking powder in it, or too much flour, so many things can go awry. I don't have a lot of baking. I don't have a lot of my recipes because I have a ton. I don't have them memorized. I have a big binder and I always use them line by line. I think because on the shows, it doesn't appear that they get recipes. They just have them in their head. And I'm like, how do they do that? And then they come out beautifully. I feel like my stuff would probably end up on Nailed It because I would forget an ingredient. But I personally would love to be on a cooking challenge show that gave me like a black box of unknown ingredients and then they hand it to me and then I get to create something because I was a trained savory and I've cooked savory food so much longer than I've done baking and confections and especially chocolate. I haven't done chocolate for very long. I think that would be more my jam. I think I'd be more comfortable with that. Otherwise, I would have to really study and remember my recipes that I'd use. I'd really have to game plan, I think, and just hope for the best.
Oh, thank you so much for your response, Jessica, and your question, Karis. I think we have just a minute left to, or 2 minutes, if you could give us a little peek around. And for those able to join the WeChat today with Rural Women Entrepreneurs, thank you so much for being here.
All right, ready? This is my shop. This is all my packaging. So much packaging. Orders. Here's my front door. Now I'll take you in from the front. These are all my Easter orders that need to be picked up. People slacking. And then I have a few extra Easter items here waiting. And some chocolate. This is mostly backstock. I'm not fully set up to do retail space. I'm working on the design to be able to build out this large space here in the front to be able to do retail. I'm just not set up. These are my beautiful new bundt pans I just got. Yeah, some chocolate cake batter. It's very simple production. There's my oven. I have 2 induction burners in this oven and a couple KitchenAid mixers. And that's actually all I really need. I don't need a ton of stuff. Lots of local ingredients, all those beautiful jams, cakes waiting to be done. So that's pretty much it. It's not very exciting, but it will be once I get a design going and get all set up for retail. And I mostly do wholesale. So my focus has been on wholesale and volume. But because of my downtown location in downtown Hood River, I'm going to be able to open the doors for people to come in and buy.
Well, I can't wait for the chance to be able to come in and buy your products. Thank you so much for your tour and talking today with us about your struggles and how you overcome that. I would love to have your website to share with others. If you could let people know how they could order your products because they just look so delicious.
ColumbiaGorgeConfections.com.
And your address in Hood River, if anybody is...
It's 112 7th Street, right off of Oak and 7th.
Great. Thank you, Jessica. We had
you.
A great chat with you today. And thanks, everyone who was able to join us. Have a good rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.